Airships are the stuff of dreams for any aviation buff. Defined as a powered aircraft that's not kept in the air by fixed or rotating wings, but by a body of gas, these things are massive and efficient at transporting large payloads to remote locations, and spectacular to look at. Sadly, with a few notable exceptions, they are also incredibly difficult to make. There have been a number of airships of various kinds in operation over the years. Off the top of my head I can name the ill-fated Hindenburg, the world-famous Goodyear blimp, or the less-known Zeppelin NT. Depending on a variety of factors, airships fall into different categories. When talking about the framework, we've got rigid, semi-rigid, or non-rigid airships, and when talking about what powers them and what keeps them in the air, they can be aerostats, aerodynes, or hybrids. Quite a complicated world, the one of airships, especially if you consider the fact that not that many of them were made over the years, and that, despite the involvement, from time to time, of some of the biggest names in the aerospace industry. I'm not sure how many of you remember this, but Lockheed Martin once worked on an airship. It was called P-791, and only one was ever made and flown. It took to the air for the first time in 2006, and word is it did so 5 more times after that, before falling off the radar. The P-791 was designed as an aerostat hybrid airship. It came with a tri-hull design that makes it look like a flying mutant brain and featured disc-shaped cushions to help it land. It stood 120 feet long, and it was called a hybrid because it combined aerostatic with aerodynamic lift. The exact specifications of the airship were never made public, meaning we have a pretty incomplete picture of the design. What we do know is that Lockheed Martin eventually gave up the idea of developing something useful from this project, and passed the entire work, including intellectual property rights included, to a new company called AT2 Aerospace. That happened in 2023, and on the development front of the airship we still don't have a lot of news. AT2 does release from time to time details on how this or that company are interested in the design of its airship, now called Z1. The most recent such announcement was made at the beginning of March, when AT2 said a company called Straightline Aviation placed a $50 million order for one of these vehicles. Previously, 2 of them, with the option to ask for an additional 18, had been ordered by Arctic Airships. The entire fleet is supposed to serve the needs of remote communities by ensuring transport of cargo and people. That got us thinking a bit about what all of this could mean for the future of air transportation, so we dug up all the information we could about the airship. Here they are, giving us a glimpse of potential things to come. Described as the first new airframe in over 100 years, the Z1 flies thanks to a combination of the aerostatic lift provided by helium and the aerodynamic lift of its hull. The disc-shaped cushions at its bottom, called the air cushion landing system, make it capable of landing on literally any surface: ground, water, snow, ice, and sand. The thing should be capable of lifting a useful payload of over 23 tons, and can also carry as much as 19 passengers. It can keep in the air for as much as 1,600 miles, going as fast as 69 miles per hour. All of these makes this airship design, and all the others, for that matter, ideal for use in supporting the survival of people and businesses in remote areas of the planet. Yet, despite its obvious usefulness, and the interest manifested by logistics players, the Z1 is probably still a long way from becoming reality. One of the problems AT2 is presently trying to overcome is that of variable buoyancy, which is the ship's ability to adapt itself to weight changes. Several options are currently on the table, with the most likely to succeed involving the use of ballast to keep the airship balanced and floating through the sky no matter if it's loaded or not. AT2 now says the airship ordered by Straightline Aviation will mark the technology's launch onto the market, but doesn't go into the specifics of what that means, not even to tell us when we are to expect the first flight of the hardware. As a side note, Straightline Aviation has been trying to get its hands on the airship ever since its development was handled by Lockheed Martin. In 2016, the company signed a 10-year, $850 million contract for an undisclosed number of airships that were to be used on behalf of Canadian mining company Quest Rare Minerals. That should give us a feeling that yes, there is a chance airships will never truly be part of our world. But one can only hope.